Hi, hello, my name is Jaren. We are talking about Drag Race Thailand Season 3, Episode 4. Acting is not acting, isn't it? Whatever the hell that means. Alright, y'all, so I'm gonna be real. We're in a really turbulent political time right now, and I am not feeling my very best, as I'm sure many of us are not feeling good. I'm gonna probably seem tired and out of it for the next couple of weeks, but thank you for tuning in. Hopefully we can assess and discuss this season and try and use Drag Race as a fun little distraction from what is going on in the world, if not just for a few minutes at a time. That being said, let's talk about this challenge. We have another crappy quick drag challenge, which I hate quick drag challenges. I cannot harp on them enough. However, they had to do a little slow-mo photo challenge, which I did think was fun. This season is slowly starting to transition into a place where I'm enjoying it a little bit. It's minuscule, but I'm enjoying it. It's certainly not as unenjoyable as the last few episodes have been. Also, my last video got incorrectly copyright blocked. I am very frustrated because I did not break fair use. There are maybe 7 other creators who are reacting to this season who all use the same clips that I did and did not get their videos taken down. My thoughts, real quick, I was a little disappointed with last week, and I was very disappointed with the runway. I love that it was a Drag King inspired challenge, and I wish that we had seen more elevated looks, which we certainly did not. Nane is the winner of this mini challenge, which I thought was totally deserved. She was the only one who slayed it for me. And because she won, she gets to sign all the roles for the acting challenge. Now, this acting challenge was actually not as cringe as I thought it was gonna be. There was some really solid acting. The plot was well written. I enjoyed the way that direction went on it. Everybody seemed really present and involved, and I didn't think too many people did atrocious. So I was kind of shocked about the judgment. This was one of the strangest judging all season. My one big complaint about this acting challenge is that it wasn't in its own little sound stage like last season's acting challenge was. This was just some rickety makeshift little hotel that they created on the main stage because you can see the judges box in the background, and that frustrates me a bit that there's just no budget or attention to detail.
Is there no budget this time around?
In this season when it comes to the challenges. Some of my standouts from this challenge were ZP. I thought she really killed it. I loved her acting choice. I loved the voice that she was doing, her characterization. She was larger than life. She certainly felt like a soap opera character. I really liked Godlin. I thought they were solid. I thought their physical comedy was hilarious. I liked their voice they were doing. Everything about their performance was very high for me. And then Frankie was absolutely my favorite of the acting challenge. They killed it for me. Their physical comedy was 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed that they went full camp with it, that even though they were playing a more masculine character, they really hammed it up and weren't afraid to be a little more feminine. So Frankie was the top with ZP this week for me. And honestly, I really like Nane too. I was kind of gagged that Nane did not do well in the judges' eyes. Overall, of them, I thought Benze was my bottom 2. For being the main character, they had no main character energy, and they seemed out of the scene for the most part. They really seemed like they were not present at all. And they were sort of trepidatious with everything they were doing. They were hesitant to connect with the role, and you could see that they just didn't want to do it. And then for me, Gigi was also quite bad. They had a very small role and they did nothing with it. When your role is this big, you have to go tens with it. I think about someone like Shea Coulee in season 9 who got that very tiny Black China role and stole the show. That character is meant to sort of be a background character, and you could have gone so far with it, even just reacting to others in the room. And I didn't see anything from Gigi. Plus their runway was super weak, which we'll get into in a moment. And then Shotgun being in the bottom didn't make sense to me because it should have been Gigi. But the ultimate crime was Nane being in the bottom because it should have been Spicy yet again. I don't understand why Spicy was not in the bottom one more time, if not even just bottom 3. Their runway was weak and their performance was really weak too. Nane was great in that role. And their runway was probably one of my favorites of the night. Just in general, I was not enjoying the judgment this week. I don't know what the judges were sipping on before they went and sat down at that booth, but whatever it was, I want a hit of because they clearly saw something that I did not see. And for me, if you don't do really great in the main challenge, but your runway is good, it can sort of bring you into a safe placement. On the opposite end, if you do really good in a challenge and your runway is crappy, then you get pulled into safe. If you do decent in the challenge and your runway is great, it pulls you into the top. The runway is sort of that last determining factor that swings you into a placement. And some of these girls did not do excellent in the challenge, but they had a great package or a bad package on the runway, and that should have yanked them into one direction or the other. So let's talk about these runways. The category is Hats the Way I Like It, which I thought was a fun pun. Starting with Frankie Wonga, my thoughts on this is that it's a little simplistic. I don't think the hat is the standout piece. The outfit itself is just really simplistic, and when your runway category is Hats the Way I Like It, the hat is the standout piece. The hat is the attention point. This is more of a fascinator to me. The hat is just not pushing it enough, so this was medium. Next up we have Gigi Ferocious, who I did say I did not enjoy their runway, and I stand by that. Olive green is one that not everybody can pull off, but it looks really lovely on them. The hat is interesting, but it's a little floppy and the shape is not fabulous. It's a little choppy looking around the edges. It doesn't look like solid lines, and that's probably a fabric issue. When it was tacked onto whatever the base of the hat was, it may have puckered and pulled a little bit. For me, the statement here is the jewelry. The glasses are also a really big statement piece. So that brings the statement piece, the focus point of this look, to the diamonds. It's not about the hat. But that dress, hot. Next is Benze Diva. I quite like the camp nature of this giant top hat. The wig looks like it was drugged through the mud. I really liked their reveal when they came out of the hat during the lip sync, and I wish they had come out of it during the runway and maybe been in a slutty little bunny costume with the bunny ears. I think it would have gone in a very different direction, and this look easily could have pulled Benze into a high bottom placement and not bottom placement. Next up is Spicy Sunshine, who is wearing another big top hat. Category is giant top hats. They remove that giant top hat to show tiny little cabaret hats that are all stacked on each other. And I will say, I love that idea. I like the red band, and I like that it's the same red saturation as the costume. However, this mesh with the stars was not doing it for me. I'm expecting more cohesion with the hats. And there's this weird spiked collar on the neck that has no cohesiveness with those hats. What does that have to do with it? The whole look on its own were like 4 different things that were all put together. Because this fetishy latex skirt also does not make sense with the hat or with the mesh shirt. And I am a big fan of corsets over outfits. This doesn't actually provide any shape. It hasn't been cinched at all. It's just 2 perpendicular lines to each other. So it's not adding a waist or anything. It's just thrown on to be thrown on, and that's not enough for me either. Next is Siam, and I am a big fan of this look. I really like it from the waist up. I'm obsessed with the beige tones. I really like this hat. It's giving Thai eleganza. There's something that's steeped in culture to me. So I'm doing some research right now because I just wanted to make sure that my reference point was correct. There's something called the Temple of the Emerald Buddha in Bangkok. And this article that I found from trip101.com, which is almost an identical tower reference to this hat, it says there was one time in 18th century where the architecture all around the world was inspired by the European style. Back in the day, this independent kingdom called Siam mixed foreign and traditional elements to create something beautiful and unique. The fact that this building is in a kingdom called Siam makes me feel like this was the exact reference point for this hat. I'm so glad that I am slightly educated. I enjoy the flower quite a bit. Where it falls apart for me is where it opens up in the front. I'd rather not see that open, at least not that much, because it's almost bringing it to Elizabethan. It's bringing me to Bustles. It's bringing me to Bellow the Ball. That's really where it only falls apart for me, but this was a super solid look. Next out is Godland in this little 1, 2, 3, 4 step. She looks like she is about to hit the dance floor at 2 a.m. They're about to call the last alcohol calls, and Godland is about to go and throw her back in a circle. I love this look. I love the colors. I love the interest points of intermeshing orange and gold and turning it into this beautiful creamsicle color. Oh God, I love this. It is about the hat. The interest piece is not about anything else. And because the textiles are the same, it naturally brings your eyes up to see what has been done with that. This deserved a top placement in my opinion. Next is ZP, who had quite possibly the simplest look that we saw on the runway this night. The hat is more of a fascinator. This costume, having this sun hat as the asymmetrical ruffle, was really fun, but I've seen this before. It didn't push any boundaries of a hat dress that I haven't already seen on Drag Race before, that I haven't seen on Project Runway before, that I haven't seen in other fashion shows before. This is something that could be seen on any one of those shows. And then just tacking a hat to your hip doesn't really say hat's the way I like it. I maybe would have loved this outfit if that hat had been removed and if it had been turned into a purse. Maybe. That maybe would have been a little more interesting. Put a giant chain handle on it, hang it over the side, and you're walking around with your hat bag. I think that would have taken it to a more elevated place, because that hat on the hip really pulls it out of glamour to me. I still agree that ZP won the challenge though, because they were just that good. And their outfit did say hat. It just wasn't as realized as I would have liked to have seen it. Next out is Shotgun, who I thought actually was really solid in the challenge, and then came out in this look and I was blown away. This hat is incredible. To me, this was very referential of when Billy Porter did that dangly crystal hat that had the drawstring that pulled it in front of the face and away from it. I love this. It was one of the coolest looks of the night. It looks like a chocolate snack. And I love that their mouth and eyes were exposed to it. Brings it to an avant-garde place. Finally is Nane Sfera, who killed it. This was the best look of the night. It was a hat runway. Let's talk about this crystal hat that's on top first. That's got the peacock feathers running all the way down. That looks expensive and luxe. Then transforming into a bag, an evening bag. I have never. I was upset that Nane was in the bottom 3. Do I think it deserved critiques? Absolutely, because this was the best look of the entire season. Hands down, number 1. This was so cool. This should have absolutely never landed her in the bottom, because her performance was not that bad. And this runway was, mwah. God, it was so good and I'm so mad. So ZP wins the challenge. Again, makes sense to me. And then our bottom 2 is Benze and Shotgun, which I also did not agree with. I thought that it should have been Gigi and Spicy, and I think that Spicy probably deserved to go home this week. The song was Congratulations by RuPaul. And I gotta be honest, I kind of forget that this song is a full feature. When Benze came out of that hat, it was over. And I just don't understand why she didn't come out of that on the runway, because that maybe would have saved her from bottom 3. Shotgun did very little, almost nothing. There was a lot of frantic moments, and then that ass wig was just not it at all. And high-key, I was really tired while watching this episode, and my eyes started fluttering during that lip sync. And Shotgun was out, which made sense. Benze did things and was at least slightly interesting, even if it wasn't the most spectacular lip sync I've ever seen. And that concludes this episode. What did y'all think? I think this season is getting better. I think the Queen's energy is starting to adjust more to what the challenges are calling for. I think they're adjusting their camera presence. And I think the sound quality is definitely getting better, which is good. We're moving in a positive direction, I think, and I'm hoping that as the weeks go on, the show will increase its production value, and hopefully for season 4, if it happens, they will go with a different company because whoever's managing this season is not giving it the love it deserves. Thank you all for watching. I will see y'all next week for another one. Take care of yourselves. Do your very best as only you can do. See you on the flip, y'all. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, make sure to click that like button. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe. Goodbye.